Hi folks, welcome to the channel and welcome to the man cave. Super excited today because today it feels like Christmas has come about 7 weeks early. Why is that? Well, the postman today has just delivered these beautiful Denali D3 riding lights, which I ordered about 7 days ago from that all things BMW accessories company online in the UK called Nippy Normans. I'll put all the stuff in the description down below. Go and have a look at it. So super excited. We're going to be fitting those today, and that'll be like part one of 2 videos. The second video we'll go out for a ride and just see what they're like as well in daylight and at night time as well. So today we're just going to be fitting the lights to the bike. So why have I gone for a set of riding lights? Well, basically if you're riding down the road, going around a corner, somebody pulls out in front of you, they might just give it a quick glance. They might see the bike, but they actually might not see you. So if you've got some extra lights on, you just might avoid them pulling out in front of you and doing the old Superman over the bonnet. So that's the primary reason why I've gone for some extra lighting on the bike. I don't really ride a great deal at night time, so I've gone for the D3s, and I prefer the actual roundness of the lights rather than the square D4s, which are about £10 per light more expensive. So yeah, it's a personal preference. I'm going to try the D3s. I have had a set of Denalis on my previous bike. That was Honda Africa Twin. I think it was the D1 or the D2s, the small ones. I put a picture up here, and they were absolutely brilliant for a small light. They were superb both in daylight and at night time. Couldn't believe how good they were. So when I sold the bike, I should have actually whipped the lights off and put them on the BM, but I couldn't be bothered. So somebody had a good deal when they bought my bike. So I do know the brand, so I'm more than happy with Denali. And the good thing about the Denali D3s is that they are compliant with the regulations in America and also Europe. So yeah, they're going to be good if you get stopped by some law enforcement officer who wants to have a close look at your bike. Quite happily show them all the E-marks over at the lenses, whether it be the lens that they get shipped with or the hybrid lens, which I will be fitting. Everything's got an E-mark on it, so I'm more than happy with that. So the whole thing is good from Denali. It just means you're not going to have any issues. And the quality, well, having felt the quality of the lights and having had them previously, I know that the quality is very good. When you take them out of the box, they do come with the, let's call it the floodlight spotlight lens fitted, but I'm actually going to put the hybrid lens on, so that's going to give me hopefully the best of both worlds, a little bit of short distance illumination and then a little bit of penetration down the road. So it's a compromise between the spotlight and a floodlight just for the short distance in front of you. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So what else have I ordered? Well, obviously we need to have some way of mounting the lights to the bike. I've got the BMW OEM lower crash bars, so it's not the GS-see, so it's just the standard GS. So I've bought some engine guard light mounts from Denali, and also we need some way of connecting the lights at the front of the bike to the HexEzcan in the back of the bike. So I've ordered some extra extension cables as well, again from Denali. So I didn't know how many extension cables to order, so I've ordered 4, so that's 2 lengths per side, left side and the right side. I might end up with two extension cables being spare, but they won't go amiss. I will use them for some other lights or whatever else I may decide to put on the bike. So that's what we're looking at. Price wise for all of this from Nippy Normans, it came to a total of £469. So yeah, I thought that was okay. And then if you want the D4s, at the moment Nippy Normans are doing the D4s for about £10 per light more. So just breaking it down then, the lights themselves, have a quick look at my notes, they came to £318 for the pair. Then I had the light mounts that go on the engine guards, and they were 75 quid. And then the extension cables, there's 4 of them, and they're 24 inches or 2 foot lengths, and they were £19 each. So that came to something like, I can't remember how much it was, £76 for the 4 extension cables. So the whole thing in the Nippy Normans basket, £469, and I am super excited to be fitting them to the bike as well. So I think without further ado, let's have a quick look at what we got in the box, and then let's go and put it on the bike, shall we? So what do we get in the box then with the D3s? You get the hybrid lens, which we will be putting on the light itself. You get a pigtail if you need that. I won't be using that. And then you get the beautiful D3 unit itself. It's just so well made. It really is a nice bit of kit. In case you're wondering the length of this cable, which is not on any of the specifications anywhere, that is approximately 65 centimeters in length. So that's what you get in the box, and all of these are E-marked as well. And this is the extension cable, so that is 67 centimeters long, 2 foot. So the combination of this and the wiring going into the light, that will give us a workable length of about 132 centimeters, 1.32 meters. So what else do we need? We need some way to fit the stuff to the bike. So here we go, we've got the engine guard frame light mount. So I've got 2 of those in the box, and again, all nice high quality stuff from Denali. And basically we're going to be putting that on the bike and then attaching the light unit to this. Pretty simple really. So my bike already has the HexEzcan fitted. I'll put a little link up here. It takes about 45 minutes to fit it. It costs about £180. So you can either go for the HexEzcan or the Denali CanSmart system. And basically the Denali CanSmart system is actually manufactured by HexEzcan, so they are one of the same, but you need that unit fitted to the bike to operate the lights as well, to control the lights. So that's going to take you about 45 minutes to fit that, and it costs about £180. So if you've already got your Denali CanSmart fitted or your HexEzcan fitted, to fit the lights, connect it all up, program it, I reckon it's going to take you about 1 hour and 15 minutes. So I've actually already done a dry run. The other light is actually fitted on the bike as we speak. So I've just ironed out a few of the little niggles, just best way to route the cables, etc. So yeah, I reckon about 1 hour and 15 minutes is what we're talking about. So we'll get to that very shortly. So first things we need to do, the light comes out of the box with the clear lens on it. So what we need to do is just put the hybrid lens on it. It has got a protective cover on it, so obviously make sure you take that off. And then all we need to do is, it has 4 2.5mm Allen screws on there, so we'll just take those off and then put that lens on there. So I'm going to take that off now. So that's all the 4 screws out. Let's just take the lens off, and there is a black rubber thing on there. So take the old clear lens out, put that to one side. So we take the bezel and then pop the hybrid lens in there, and there's some cutouts. I don't know if you can quite see this. There's some cutouts there, so you can see which way it needs to go in, how it's got to go. And then we just pop this black thing, I don't know what you want to call that, onto there, and then pop it back on. But let's have a quick look on the inside here. So that's the inside of the light. You see those small squares are the LEDs, 2 at the bottom, 1 at the top. So here's the hybrid lens. The top one is the floodlight lens, and then the bottom one is a combination of flood and spotlight. So those 2 are at the bottom of the unit itself. So the unit sits on the crash bars like that, and you've got the 2 white squares at the bottom, and that's how it's going to fit on here. So just line the holes up, and then we'll screw these back in. Just keep going around, do them all up a little bit in turn, and then finally you can go around and make sure they are fairly tight. So just going to nip them up enough, and then that's that job done. So these lights are IP67, which means dust won't get in there, and they are, I think you can, it means you can submerge them up to like 1 meter or something, so they're pretty much waterproof. So next thing we need to do is just prepare the frame mount. Obviously I don't want to get my OEM crash bars scratched with this, so I'm just going to put some 3M frame protector tape on the inside, and I'm just going to cut that to length, and that means when we clamp it up, I'm not going to damage or scratch the crash bar, but you don't have to do that. Voila, 2 pieces of frame protector cut. Just going to peel back the protective layer and then just stick them onto the light mounts, and that is the frame protector tape fitted. So we need to go from this to this. So the whole thing is going to take about 30 minutes to prep the bike, and rest assured, in my view, it's the best way to do it. So first thing we're going to do is whip the seats off. So you can already see that I've previously installed the HexEzcan to the bike. So we've just got to remove all this section here. I think that's called the rear seat carrier. There are 8 Torx T40s to remove, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the same on the other side as well. I've already removed them, so it's a simple task just to lift this off and go and put it somewhere safe. So that's the rear plate removed, and you can see my HexEzcan that I have previously installed on the bike. So that's what we're going to be using to control the lights when we get round to it. So what we need to do now is just take all the panels and the tank panels off the bike, and that's not going to take you too long. I've already undone all the screws and they are on my workbench somewhere safe. So if you've taken the panels off before, I'm not going to teach you to suck eggs, so you can skip this bit if you want. So unless I say otherwise, all the screws are Torx T25s, and in fact the only Torx T30 is the one up on the tank. So let's crack on. This is the first one to come off. 2 screws in here, take them off, and then you have to slide this section rearwards, and then that'll come out. As you can see, I've already fitted the D3 on the right hand side of the bike. So this is the next panel to come off. 2 screws in here, 1 on the underside, and then 3 on the inside as well. So, and there's a male clip on here. It goes into a female part, so you just got to give that a bit of a tug, and then off that comes. So now we're just going to remove the front beak section. So you have 1 screw here, 1 there, and then 3 on the underside. Exactly the same for the other side as well. And then we're just going to pull this section forward. Just going to remove the beak now. Very simple, don't be scared of it. I've just had to lower my Inov K2 camera out the way, so you might just have to open it out a little bit of waggling, and then pull it out, and that is that section removed. It's as simple as that. So the next thing we're going to do is just remove this section of tank here. So you've got 2 Torx T25s left and right, and then down here, that's the odd one out actually of all of the screws. That's a Torx T30. So whip those out, and then you've got 2 Torx T25s down at the bottom here, and then don't be scared of it. So just prise it up from the bottom, and there's 2 lugs on each side, male into female, and you'll just hear them pop out. There's 1 and there's 2, and then turn the handlebar straight, and then that's that section removed. And you can see the 2 lugs, the male lugs here, 1's there and 1 there, I think it is. So obviously the other side, we've got the same panel here to take off, and this panel as well. To fit the light on this side, you don't actually have to take the panel off, but I'm going to take it off just to show you how I've routed the cables anyway. So I am a great fan of, on the BMW with a Torx T25 screwdriver and a Torx T30, you can sort of take anything off. It's just like a big Meccano set. So don't be afraid to have a look to see what's behind the panels. So there's 4 screws here. I've just left 1 in there so the panel doesn't fall off. You've got 1, 2, 3, and then there's 4. And the other thing got to be really cautious about is there's a little black plastic pin in here, goes into the frame, and that's a little bit of a mare to take out. Actually, you can take it out with a pair of pliers once you ease it out, but you're going to damage the head. So the best thing I found to do was using a iPhone screen replacer tool kind of thing, whether it's something with a plastic kind of thing like that, I think that's what you call them, and then a circlip remover is just go in there. The problem is on this side, this is where the fan is, so that just gives you less room to work in, so you need to remove this pin here. So just try and prise the black pin out a little bit, that plastic pin, and then once you've got a little bit of once it's out a little bit, then just put the pliers underneath and then just pull it out. So that's what I've done on this side and the other side as well. The other side is easier because you have a bit more room and this fan isn't in the way. But you don't have to actually take this panel off, but we will, just to show you how we've routed the cables. So let's just take that last screw out, and obviously you'll be doing the same for the other side, taking this panel off and then this section here as well. So I've already removed that black plastic pin, shall we say. So that's the 4 screws out and the black pin as well, and then we just pull it out. So that would take you about 30 minutes to get to this stage. So all the panels off this side and the other side, and it's just so much easier to run the cables, and literally the cabling is now a 5-minute job. So a quick tip from me to you, all those screws, don't muddle them up, because some have got shoulders, some are pointy, etc. So when I have been working on the bike, what I've done to not mix all the screws up, I've just on bits of cardboard drawn little diagrams. For instance, this is the left side with the BMW emblem on it. So when I take the screws out of the bike from that panel, then I just put them in the area where they should go. So that is my handy tip from me to you. So before you actually take any of the plastics off or put any of the lights on, just plug your light into the CAN Smart or the HexEzcan, switch the bike on and make sure you haven't been sent a set of defective lights. And I've obviously done that before we started any of this. So there's a couple of ways you can fit them with the cables actually. So I've used the two 2-foot extension cables on this side, and you could actually get away with just using one extension cable. So you've got the cable coming out of the light itself, and then you could actually just run the cable behind the air inlet pipe, if that's what it's called. But then I just thought it doesn't look particularly nice because you've just got the wire coming straight up from there. So I've actually run it alongside the OEM crash bar and then behind some frame part here, and then along this way I'll show you how I've done that. But yeah, with one extension cable it will get you back to the HexEzcan or your CAN Smart, so that's an option for you. But I didn't like the fact that you've just got the cable coming across here, and for the sake of an extra 19 quid I went for the two extension cables. So this is the light that I installed without removing the panel. I've got fairly small hands, so it wasn't too much of a problem. So obviously when it gets dark I'm going to have to go out with a set of spanners and an Allen key and make sure the lighting is good and not dazzling anybody, but for the time being that's how it's fitted. And the light mount was an absolute breeze to fit, just an Allen key and away you go. So zip tie down here, and then another zip tie down there. And then now that I've removed the fairing panel, I've just put a zip tie there for belt and braces. You can see it running behind the grey part of the frame, and that's just bringing the cable to the light and just fitting it snugly against the frame. But if you didn't want to take the panel off, you can just do away with that zip tie because you won't be able to get access to that part of the frame. And then you can see the cable running behind this electrical fuel injector box thingamajig, and you can see the cable. There's the cable to the light there, and even without that zip tie around the grey part of the frame there's no issue with it rubbing against the lower wishbone there. But I'm just a belt and braces kind of guy. And then I've got a zip tie here and then running up to this part of the bracket here, so zip tie around there. So that's the extension joint there, and then it just runs under there. We get to here, and I just fed the plug where my finger is up there. It went through no problem at all. And then under the seat mount here where the seat goes on there, and there's no issue with rubbing. I've got some other electrical stuff there as well. Zip tie around there, and then finally there's another joint here, and then into the yellow circuit. So that's it, job done. So as you can see, I've already fitted the lights on the left hand side as well, off camera shall we say. So the tank panel on the left hand side, you obviously take the 4 bolts out there, and as we haven't got the fan on this side, which we have on the other side, it's just so much easier to get this black plastic pin out. Again, using the iPhone bit of equipment, just pull this back a little bit, and then with the circlip pliers it's just so much easier to pull it out, and then you can just take the whole thing off. So yeah, just take the whole thing off. I am not going to insult your intelligence by showing you how to fit that lighting mount. I'm sure you know how to do it. The only thing I have done is just snugged up all these fittings just to make sure the light doesn't fall over, and it is in the best position that I think it is until I go out and test ride the bike at night to make sure I'm not dazzling anybody coming towards me. So I'll do that a little bit later on. And I did spend a little bit of time just going over the best possible routings for the cables. I have actually used the 2 extension cables, so let's see how I did it then. So let's shine a little bit of light on there if we can. So again, I will put some zip ties on here when I've got the final position, but these are just temporary zip ties at the moment. And so running the cable along here, and then behind the bracket here, or the frame, and then I've got a zip tie here. Again, I'm going to trim all these, but I've just left them on so you know where the zip ties are. So behind the frame here, behind the water pipe, and then you can see here we're well clear of the whatever measuring device that bar is from the bottom of the wishbone on the suspension. And then it comes out, there's the red tag here, comes out here above the fuel injector unit, and then below here, and then I've just zip tied it onto the bracket just here. Again, I'll trim that, and then that's the first socket, that's the first plug. So I actually had to run it from this direction, as it wouldn't get through there. So the male part got through there, but if I ran it back that way, the female part wouldn't. So yeah, run it male part first and then down along here, so it comes up around there. And then I've just zip tied it around the mounting part here for the seat, whatever you want to call that bit. Obviously I've got some other bits and bobs in here as well, and then down here, and then you see the other plug socket down here as well. So I've connected it to the blue circuit, so connected it to the blue circuit. I was just looking at a yellow wire there. So that is both extension cables used. So I think before I trim anything down and put all the panels back, let's just make sure the lights actually work. So the cables are plugged into the HexEzcan. Let's pop the ignition on, and as if by magic, Milo, get out of the way, come on, as if by magic they work. If you see a little bit of pulsing, that's just because of the frame rate that I'm using on the GoPro, but no, they look pretty good actually, pretty good. Right, let's trim everything down, put the panels back, and then program it with the laptop into the HexEzcan. So as always, we tend to underestimate how long these things are going to take. So to put all the panels back, it's taken me about 45 minutes. So allow yourself between 45 minutes to an hour to put everything back. The only thing I would point out in relation to sort of fitting the bits and pieces to the bike would be just be a little bit careful when you do up the Allen key screws. This one in particular, I'll show you here. Just make sure you've actually put the Allen key in properly. Otherwise, if you don't put it in properly and you go to tighten it up, you run the risk of rounding the head out, which I did slightly. So just make sure you put the Allen key in properly. Other than that, it's a fairly straightforward fitting process, taking the stuff off and putting it back on again, and indeed putting the lights on. So you can use that sort of wiring method for the D3s, D4s. I've only put my D3s down here purely because I've already got the OEM fog lights down here as well, so that's why I've put them down there. So other things to point out, if you go to the Denali website, there's a couple of good things there. They do have an instruction guide how to put the stuff on and fit it, etc. So I'll put a page up here somewhere, and also there's a very good video that Denali have done showing you how good the D3s are. Certainly in relation to the spotlight, they actually outperform the D7s. So if you want a couple of spotlights, have a look at these D3s, because they have, I think they've got the longest range out of all the Denali lights on the spotlight lens thing. So the next thing we're going to do is just hook up the laptop, which I've done already, and then program the HexEzcan for the lights. So there's the HexEzcan. I've plugged the cable in going to the laptop. So blue circuit is the light on the left hand side, and the yellow circuit, we're utilizing that circuit for the light on the right hand side. So it's about a 2-minute job, if that, to program the lights what we want them to do. So let's leap over to the laptop and do that now. Straightforward, just go to the Denali website, download their software onto your laptop or computer, and then just open the program up. Accessory manager, make sure the software is up to date, and there we go. This is the page it takes you to. So we've already said I've utilized the blue circuit and the yellow circuit, and you can see here you can just choose what symbol you want to show on that particular part. So blue, I've got a headlight to the left, so that's on the left hand side, and the yellow, we've got a headlight circuit number 1, and that's showing a light towards the right hand side, and you can select whatever you want. So let's just cancel that. What else is there to show you? So you have auxiliary lights, 1 down here, and you can see just in the corner here we are utilizing the blue and the yellow circuits. So we've got the yellow and the blue. That doesn't relate to up here. This is just the colors that they use. So yellow is dip beam and blue is main beam. And then you can see here we have a daytime and a nighttime. Well, you might ask yourself, well, how does it know? Basically uses the light sensor on the TFT, very clever, and that sends all the information back to the CAN bus, and it knows when to drop the lights down to whatever intensity. When the light sensor on the TFT says, my DRL's going off, we're now in the night time. So that's how it knows how to flick between the two, in case you're wondering. So day intensity, I'm just going to put them both at 20%. On the internet, that seems to be what everybody settles for. And then the high intensity, daytime and nighttime, I'm going to whack those up to 100%. On the right hand side here, everything's checked that I want it to do. So I want the lights, depending on which side is being selected, when I use the turn signal to switch off. So I'm going to try that to see what it's like, and then strobe when the horn active, yep, and strobe on flash to pass. That's when you press the flash to pass or the headlight light 3 times and they will strobe. And then if I've got the hazards on, yeah, inverse flashing when hazards active. Leave the modulation off, that's all to do with the lights, just adjusting the intensity via the light sensor, I think, on the TFT, and that may cause some flickering, so turn that modulation off. So we've got 3-wire dimming, which means we can do some other things with the lights. In relation to the ampage, so blue circuit, I'm just going to set them at 4 amps. That seems to be what everybody sets them at. If we go over to the top right there, click on there for more information, and you can see that the blue circuit is peaking at 3.29 amps, and then the yellow circuit 3.45 amps. So I think we're safe with 4 amps, and that should do the job quite nicely. And other than that, folks, that is as simple as it gets. It's been a long video, apologies. We've covered everything though if you want to install the D3s on your lower OEM crash bars. So finally then, let's just pop the ignition on and see what the lights look like and what they can do. If you get any flickering, it's just the frame rate that's being used on the GoPro. So you can see I've got the OEM fog lights on and the Denali D3s are on. So let's just put the indicator on, turning left, and I've just programmed it so the left one goes out, and the same for the right hand side. Pressing the high beam 3 times, the lower one should strobe. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And then that's just a standard high beam. Put the hazards on and they should alternate between indicator and the Denali, which they do, so that's all working fine. And then the other trick up their sleeve, if you press the indicator button in for 3 seconds, the lights will switch off. So if you find when you go out you're blinding people, that's a good way to actually cut the power to the lights and then switch them back on again. Just press the indicator back in for 3 seconds and up they come. Also with the HexEzcan system, if you use the jog wheel, if you hold the jog wheel to the left, the lights will flicker, and then that means they go into like a power mode, so you can rotate the jog wheel and it changes the power of the lights, which is pretty good. So all in all, it's been a good install. So I'm really happy with the lights. Thanks for sticking around. I know it's been a bit of a long video, but hopefully it would have been of some benefit for yourselves if you're looking at fitting the lights to your bike. These lights are all nice and secure now. I've just got to go out of a night time and just set them properly so I'm not dazzling anybody, and that's about it. You can get some different coloured lenses to go on here, so whether you want to use them as a fog light or a daytime kind of running light, you just put a different kind of yellow filter on it and it will make it more conspicuous to other users, and the fog one just gives you less bounce back when you're sort of going towards water droplets or something like that. That's it, folks. You've stuck around for a long time. Thanks so much. As ever, ride safe, and the next video will be using these of a night time. Take care. See you again soon. Bye.